Hey there, I'm Wes. Welcome to Fear, your chaotic good guide to all things D&D, minis, Warhammer, and terror. Today we're going to be going over the Crooked Moon subclasses, and we're going to be ranking them in a tier list, so let's go! We are ranking the subclasses in the Crooked Moon on D&D Beyond, seeing how they hold up. These are 2024 subclasses, so let's go! Path of the experiment. You are the science fair project. You didn't bring one. The first thing you get is alchemic experiments. You gain alchemy supplies and you can use those to make healing potions instead of herbalism kits. Then volatile serum. Whenever you enter a rage, you can choose one of the following benefits. Very similar to the Wild Heart Barbarian. You gain features later on that are like all the time benefit. Then your real next ability comes at Reactive Catalyst. This basically lets you Hulk out. When you take damage or get hit with a condition, you can rage as a reaction. Finally, biochemical admixture lets you activate 2 of your volatile serums at once, and you just have an aura of feels bad going on around you. So I'd say there's nothing bad about this subclass. All the features work well. You get to do some fun and interesting, flavorful things. Absolute A. Alright, so we're gonna go into our College of Whistles Bards, because somehow whistling is creepier than singing. Their first thing is handy hints. Feints? Right. Anyway, when you inspire someone, they get this aura around them, and they gain different features depending on whether they're grumpy, a sad sack, or just a little scamp. Then Whistling Wanderer is basically just gonna give you a free magic item, which is awesome and very strong. Homeward Bound. Bards don't get expanded spell list, but occasionally they do get like a free version of a spell that they can cast. This one's going to give you Teleportation Circle. And then Ride the Rails. It's pretty cool. I wish it was a little more powerful. I mean, it technically does scale with your level as you get stronger. But initially, 3d8 isn't that much, because when you get this, your Bardic Inspiration will be a d8. Bards don't really have 3rd level damaging spells, so not bad. Last Stop is an awesome feature if there's another caster in your party. If there isn't, or if you're the only person who can deal psychic damage, well, then you have to use your entire action for this ability, which makes it a downer. But if not, Synaptic Static is perfect. You do this and then Synaptic Static and you're set. So when it comes to buffing your allies, you're definitely an A. Then with the auras that you give them, because the aura can also buff other allies. You kind of gain a free spell. You do gain a free spell. And then your capstone is kind of the weakest part, but you're still a bard. And if you do have other psychers in your party, then an S tier support for them. A. It's nothing crazy overpowered. This is an A. Harvest Domain. We've seen Harvest Domain clerics in other settings, but here they reap what they sow, and they sow screams. So first thing they're going to get is domain spells, but they are similar to the Lunar Sorcerer, where they get to pick between a distinct, like, whenever they take a long rest, they can be sowing, growing, or reaping, and that's going to give them certain spells depending on what season they're in. They're going to gain proficiency with the herbalism kit and their choice of nature or survival skills. Then cornucopia is the real big thing here. You get a bunch of d4s. The best way to think about cornucopia is I can cast Goodberry, but better good berries. Bountiful Harvest is going to give you a variety of channel divinity abilities depending which season you're in. Blessings of the Season is going to give you similar ability. This one's going to be a defensive one that you take to help an ally near you. Then Eternal Wheel is just going to boost your channel divinity abilities into the god tier status. You're a cleric. You're a very versatile cleric with versatile spells. I'm just going to put you in A tier for that alone. Now we have the Circle of the Old Ways. Forget flowers. This druid's about root, rot, and decay. Our circle spells are okay. Ancestral Communication, it specifically comes with this class. It's a third-party spell by the Crooked Moon, and now that I'm saying this, I realize I did not say what came with the cleric one, so I'm not gonna do it here either. You'll see them at the end of the video. We'll do that. I'll put them at the end so you can read what the special spells are. Sorry. Continuing on. Wood Woes lets you expend your wild shape and kind of get the benefits of rage and a mini taunt, which is awesome since you're going to be going into combat with a, shillelagh and a shield. Then at level 6, you're going to gain extra attack and a once per turn bump to your damage. Deepwood Elder is basically going to give you a little bit of weapon mastery, some extra temp hit points, a reaction ability as well. It's really good stuff there. Lastly, Ancient Protector is just going to be like an all-around boost to everything. Size increases, you gain resistance, you sort of gain the benefits of like the Sentinel feat. The Circle of the Ancient Ways, or of the Old Ways, the Circle of the Ancient Ways Druid is your melee druid. This is your, I'm going to get into combat, I'm going to rage out, I'm going to become a treant. Yeah. This is a strong, potent fighter, potent subclass, especially with 2024 druid spells. I'd say it's very good. It's S tier. When you asked Andy if they like dolls, they shook their head and said yes. At least that's what the Circle of Wicker did. Because when you expend your bonus action, you summon a creepy little doll. Well, it doesn't have to be creepy, but this doll of yours is going to have a few different abilities, whether that is to sacrifice, soothe, or ward those around it. This spell list definitely says I'm going to either give you a charm or the opposite. Wicker Token's going to let you turn your friends into familiars, and Wicker Rising's going to enhance your sacrifice, soothe, and ward abilities from earlier. Soulbound Papa's going to let you create another creepy doll, and this one's going to give your enemies disadvantage against whoever's holding it. Finally, Wicker Zenith, where abilities gain even stronger. So with all those features, I think the Wicked Druid lands itself in the A tier. Burrow Guard fighters are sworn to protect the dead just after they make you join them first. The first feature our Death Knight gets is Dwargar dice, very similar to your Psy Warrior fighter. You're going to gain dice equal to double your proficiency bonus, but we're not calling them that in 2024 because of multi-classing reasons. Anyway, you can expend these to do various unique things. Like I said, very similar to the Psy Warrior, not as packed with choices as the Battle Master, but as you level up, you will gain more abilities to use for these Dwargar dice. Overall, solid A subclass, nothing bad here, all good features. If the Warrior of Mercy is here to prevent the plague, the Warrior of Pestilent Haze is here to spread it. First off, this is going to give you Contagious Discipline. This is going to turn your fist into claws, letting you swap the damage types of your unarmed strikes from bludgeoning to slashing damage if you choose, and you're going to be able to add an extra necrotic damage once per turn. You're also going to be able to force someone to make a save when you hit them with an unarmed strike or get poisoned and take extra necrotic damage. That's going to cost you a focus point, or if you choose to not do the extra necrotic damage the first time, you can do it for free. Gift of Pestilence will give you a little rat catcher companion and the ability to cast Animal Messenger, but not speak with animals, but a less good version of speak with animals. So Potent Plague is going to let you ignore necrotic or poison damage, which is cool from your earlier Contagion Discipline abilities. However, your normal unarmed strikes are still dealing bludgeoning damage or slashing damage. They're not getting around resistance to those damage types. Tolling Censor. I don't really like these monk abilities where it's just a couple rows of your martial arts die because they're not powerful enough. This is nowhere near a fireball level worth of damage. As a martial class, giving up your entire action, I should be doing fireball damage. Alright, thankfully Epidemic gives you a way around the immunity condition, or else this entire subclass would have just went into the D tier at high levels. But still, damage-wise, your extra necrotic damage that you do is only a couple of dice damage, but it adds up since you're a monk. However, it's, I mean, you're not bad. You're not spending focus die left and right, so you have the ability to spend them or not spend them and still do fun things with this subclass. You have a way around of resistance and immunities. I just feel like there's something about it that's just not fully there. And I think it's the level 3 just adding um damage types where other monks like the dragon monk from Fizzbands can just change damage types right at level 3. So yeah, I think if you could have just changed your damage type right at level 3, because unless you gain a magic, some unarmed wraps, which you should, which your DM should give you, you're not going to really do much more than the poison damage that's unresisted or the necrotic that's unresisted at higher level. So just because it's missing that little thing, it's going in B tier. Oath of Castigation. Castrate. Castigate? Moving on. Castigate's going to let you use your channel divinity to do like an AoE lockdown, possibly even adding damage. Then Insight's going to let you use your channel divinity outside of combat, possibly frightening somebody, giving you a mini aura of truth or zone of truth. You gain your oath spells once again. These just look very Nightly Aura lets you add your charisma to investigation or insight checks, which is actually really good. Ferrent Inquisitor lets you do some damage to bloodied creatures, lets you protect your allies better. Then you become a god, just like all paladins. Paladin with no bad features. Grim Harbinger time! You gain some particularly frightful spells. And then Omen of Doom. You gain a pet. You're another pet ranger. This is like the 3rd pet ranger on D&D Beyond now, if you're just going off strictly what's on D&D Beyond. But yeah, you get what is known as a Grim, and they are the bestest of boys. That's right. Because they do extra damage when they attack for you, which can just be one of your attacks. You don't actually have to use a bonus action every time. They get stronger at higher levels. They ignore resistance. They eventually ignore bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing damage. When an enemy succeeds a saving throw near your Grim, you can force them to re-roll that. Sealed Fate just means your Grim gets even stronger. So the one thing that I think is stopping this ranger from being an A tier is the Omen of Doom feature taking a bonus action. It should be a bonus action or no action triggered on a hit, sort of how the optional Tasha's version favored foe work. Next up, we have our Sinner, which is a bit of a gambling rogue, because when you hit somebody with your sneak attack, you get your Hexslinger ability, which lets you roll some of those dice to jinx people. These jinxes have their own table. I'll show you those in a moment. They'll be on screen right here with all the different jinxes. You're also gonna get jinxed at this level. Proficiency in gaming set, then you're gonna get a jinx weapon, which is sort of like the soul knife soul weapon, and then you're gonna get a bunch of cantrips as well. Borrowed luck is gonna let you siphon hex slung targets energy, basically giving you heroic inspiration if you don't already have it. Pick your poisons, kind of gonna let you take the random rolling out of D&D by choosing damage, if I'm not mistaken. The other side is going to give you the ability to either expend sneak attack to stop yourself from getting hit or to make sure you hit. Because your only level 9 feature is gaining heroic inspiration if you don't have it, I'm just going to give this class a C. Time for spell slots that bleed with Crimson Sorcery. So you're going to gain Bloodwell, which it's funny how it says reserve, but you only get one use of this. Works with your spells. You have Cure Wounds, which, I mean, we all know the best thing about the Divine Soul is being able to, like, distant cast Cure Wounds or quicken Cure Wounds as a bonus action. So anytime Sorcerer has Cure Wounds in my book is pretty dang good. Then Pool of Blood lets us turn into a pool of blood, which, I mean, thematically awesome. You're also gonna gain flavorful feature. This one's gonna provide resistance to necrotic damage and let you expend a hit dice to reduce exhaustion, which is pretty cool for Blood Sorcerer. Then at level 14, Vital Siphon is gonna let you go Super Saiyan, getting Bloodwell uses back, expend meta magic without sorcery points. Finally, level 18, your Sanguine Feast ability. For something called Sanguine Feast, you think it'd be more horrific. The damage you do is alright. It should be a little more at this level. Other than that, nothing too bad here. I'm gonna have to go with the B tier for this subclass, just because the 14th level feature is meh. Whether it's the laughter of cruel gods or just the laughter inside you, the Great Fool is our next patron here. You're going to gain some very mischieful magic with these spells on this spell list, and then you're also going to get Killing Joke, which literally lets you add insult to injury when a creature fails to save or takes damage within 60 feet of you. You can cast Vicious Mockery as a reaction. Awesome feature. Jester's Japs is going to force a creature to make a saving throw against your spell save DC or take any of these following funny effects. Your choice. Mocking Banter is going to let you dish out damage when damaged. It's your level 10 defensive or reactive ability. Send in the Clowns is going to let you do damage to multiple creatures or choose one creature and have your insane clown posse gang up on them. And you can do this again on subsequent turns. This is an awesome little capstone, especially because you can add insult to injury with your Jester's Jab, your Killing Joke. Amazing capstone because if you wanted to multi-class into something like a Sorcerer, so you can do something like Quicken Eldritch Blast, and then 3 attacks with this, I'm going to give this Warlock a B. Jester's Jab only targets one creature, and it is an action. If it was a bonus action, then it'd be A tier. We have next the Horned King Patron. When power comes at a cost, they come collecting. Right off the back, we're going to get an expanded spell list. This is going to give us I don't really know what the theme of the spell list is, honestly. I feel like you're just the Warlock. Like, this would be the baseline Warlock if there was no actual baseline Warlock. Like, this is the witchiest Witch Warlock. Oh my god. The witchiest Witch Warlock, which gets Witch's Mark, or Witch Mark. Which is actually pretty cool. How many times am I going to say witch? This is annoying. Sorry, guys. Bear with me. You can cast a spell, which is pretty powerful, and then give the spell to someone else, or just hold it yourself. It doesn't say you can't hold it, right? At this level, you're also going to get Malediction, which is pretty cool if you're using it as a reaction. Having to use your action to do this, not so much, but being able to use these abilities as a reaction, Agony, Hate, Rot are all pretty cool. Spiteful Curse is a really powerful feature because it's going to let you to use Bestow Curse instead of your Malediction, or when you use your Malediction now. So all of the benefits of Bestow Curse: concentration free, cast possibly as a reaction without a spell slot, or cast as an action with a spell slot, or cast as an action without a spell slot, which means you have a bonus action or reaction to cast any other spell with if you have that kind of ability. Marked appears on you, and you gain all of these benefits, which are extremely good. Finally, you're going to gain Gather Coven, in which your patron now blesses your entire party. You gain the following benefits. All in all, I think this Warlock subclass is absolutely S tier. We're almost at the end now with the Occultist. This person read too many horror books and decided to write their own. So right at level 3, you're going to gain Deep Speech and a first level Warlock spell that you can swap out whenever you finish a long rest. Then you're going to gain Intrusion. Imagine if you were a psionic wizard, but every time you used your psionic abilities, you had to roll on the wild magic table. Reality Tear is going to give you the ability to choose to activate Intrusion and a 3rd level Warlock spell. Occult Presence is going to let you say no to exhaustion and give you a few extra features to spend your Intrusion dice on. Then Beyond Space will give you the Scrying spell along with a couple more options for Intrusion dice. Free Scrying, a couple unique Warlock spells. I want to give this Wizard subclass an A. Especially if you like Chaos, it might be A, S. Like, last but not least, we have the Philosopher, and what's there to think about other than Fireball? But seriously, the Philosopher is going to gain Alchemy Supplies right at level 3, or Alchemic Knowledge at level 3. You gain proficiency with alchemy supplies and can use them as a spellcasting focus. Then you're also going to gain quintessence. This is the everything of this subclass. You gain a cantrip. You have to use this cantrip to then gain quintessence. You can use this cantrip outside of combat to break down objects, which means this class is very downtime outside of combat dependent. At level 6, you're going to gain the ability to spend some quintessence to basically upcast a spell. It would have been really nice if you would have gotten the ability to like just have a free quintessence all the time starting at level 6 as well. Okay, I want to know how this is pronunciated. I want to know how you guys pronunciate it. I'm not even going to attempt it because that just looks like a mangled mess. But out of that mess, you can cast Create or Fabricate and use quintessence to increase its duration. Finally, at level 14, assuming you've had enough time to create one of these stones or enough time to have a total of 10 quintessences, you're going to be able to craft yourself a Philosopher stone, which lets you expend more quintessences on different things. So if you don't have any quintessence, you don't have a subclass. I'm just going to give this a C, possible D, because it depends on your DM. And there you have it. That is all of our subclasses in the Crooked Moon in a tier list for you guys. And I know I haven't done the original subclasses from the PHB, but I will get there. Don't you worry. And up on your screen now, you should start seeing those spells that I mentioned. Feel free to pause so you can read through them here. And thank you again. Thank you. Have a good time. If you made it this far, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.